guys, so we're going to be making pizza again tonight, but we're going to make Canadian style pizza. So we're going to be using some of that sugar, we're going to use some of that yeast, and we'll be using some hot water to start. You're going to put the yeast all in here with those ingredients and then set it aside. So we've poured 1 cup in there already with the yeast. Now we're going to pour in that 1/3 cup more. We're going to mix this up and add in some sugar. Now we're just pouring in that tablespoon of sugar, and then you'll mix that up. Now we're going to set that aside and start working on our flour dough here. Alright, so this is about 3.5 cups of flour there. And we're just using that all-purpose flour. Now we're also going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. So we're going to do 1, and we got 1 more half one to put in. Next we'll do 2 teaspoons of oil. Now I ran out of my olive oil, so I'm stuck with using this vegetable oil. Now I'm just giving that a little mix here because we have some oil in there, just sifting it through itself. Then you're going to add in all the seasonings you want in here. So I'm going to add in some oregano in here, so we're going to put a whole bunch in there. We're also going to add in some garlic powder. And then we'll do some crushed basil there. And then we're going to put in a little bit of thyme. And then we're actually going to add in a sprinkle of this Old Bay seasoning. We're going to make a pizza today with chicken, so this will go really nice pairing with that. Sort of like that. We're going to mix that all into the dough now. Alright, now we're going to pour in that yeast mix in here. We've got our little dough hook on there. We are going to mix it now. Probably around a 2 here. Just gentle kneading. So we are now going to cover that and let it sit for about 30-40 minutes in the bowl. Now that there is going to be covered and resting. Okay, so our veggies are all chopped up for that pizza. We've got tomatoes, jalapeños, onions, some peppers there. And then we're going to get that dough rolled out in a second. And then I've got that beautiful sauce. We've got that pineapple. And then we've got some fresh basil to go on it, alongside having some cheese. Just gonna knead the dough a little bit here before we start separating it into 2 different pizza balls here. And then I will eventually start rolling it out. Now I'm just going to break it into 2 separate pieces now, and then we'll roll each one out individually. As you have seen here, I am rolling it, I am stretching it, I'm pressing it, working it with my hands. It's really about getting the right shape. I'm trying to make circles here, and you don't want it to be too thick. Otherwise, you know, once it rises, it's going to be kind of more too much thickness, I guess. So you really want to make sure it's a nice, thin, kind of rolled out layer for your pizza dough. And then you're just going to pinch the edges around in a circle after, just to make a bit of a end crust. Alright, so we got 1 pizza dough ready. We are going to start the next one over here. Alright guys, so that is our second pizza there. Not perfectly round, it's more of a square, kind of odd shape, but who really cares, guys? We're going to eat it the same. So there's a circle one, kind of more of a rectangle one. Next thing you're going to be doing is poking little holes in your dough. That way we don't get any funny bubbles. sweat these onions in the microwave for about 30 seconds. So next thing, we're just gonna brush a teeny bit of oil kind of on that crust of the pizza. You can even put a teeny bit on top if you wish to, totally up to you. Just kind of quick little dust. That's just a tiny bit of that oil. So now we've got that Italissima tomato and basil sauce. We're going to be putting that over the pizza here. Gonna spread that around. Now we're just gonna put a tiny bit of this Tuscan herb seasoning on it. I don't have a lot left, so we're just gonna use a smidge over it. All right, now we've got some fresh basil on there. We're gonna now add on some of that onion that we microwaved because I do not like raw onion on my pizza. I like it to get nice and soft, so I wanna pre-soften it before I put it on the pizza. So just gonna add on some onion. Now we've got some chicken on there. We'll add on cheese next. There we have some cheese. Now we've got peppers, jalapeños, and tomatoes. Again, peppers, jalapeños, tomatoes. I only put jalapeños on half of each pizza there just because my dad doesn't like too much spice. All right, so we now have pineapple on there. We're just gonna top it with a tiny bit more cheese and maybe a little bit of pepper to taste. We are now gonna pop that in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes or until golden brown on the outer crust. As you can see, the oven is at 450. Alright guys, pizzas are done. They are looking delicious. So now we're gonna cut it all up.